People get stuck at these different levels and different valleys because you have to reinvent yourself. You have to reinvent your focus, your decision making, your skill sets, and that's hard to do. And most importantly, it's hard to do from an ego standpoint or from a mindset standpoint. It's hard to let go of things that got you to this point.
Welcome back to another episode of The Root of All Success. I'm really glad you're here. I'm your host, the real Jason Duncan, and I've got another coach with me on the show today. Austin Netzley is my guest. And what you're going to find out in our conversation today is that the messages that you hear me teaching, if you're following me on YouTube, you follow me on Instagram, you're going to hear that Austin's teaching a similar construct. And the reason is because what we're teaching is true. Mm. We're teaching the truth about entrepreneurship, about systems, about processes, about getting out of the weeds. So I really want you to kind of lean in a little bit on this one, especially if you're a fan of the concepts I teach and what I'm teaching and exit without exiting. I think you're going to really like Austin. So Austin, welcome to the show, man.
Man, thank you for having me. Again, we hit it off initially, like right away, hearing the concept of your book, hearing the things that you help people with. So I'm excited to be that new voice that's saying the same things, because sometimes we just need a new voice that it really hits home. So hopefully a couple of those things that we share can really sink home for people today.
Well, let's get into it. Now, you left corporate America at age 27 after paying off $81,000 in debt. So was there a specific moment and I can't do this anymore kind of day that sparked your exit and launched you into entrepreneurship?
Well, I would say I was headed down that path, and I had this like grand plan of how I was going to work up the corporate ladder. But then I just looked at my mentors 10 years from now, 20 years out. I was like, I don't want that. I need entrepreneurship. So I started actually my first business as I was still in the corporate world, but I burnt myself out. So yes, I made some money to help me pay off my student loan debt and get out of debt and be financially free. But I burnt myself out, and that was actually the starting spot of everything that we're going to talk about here today, because I learned there was a wrong way to build a business. There's a wrong way to chase after success. And that set me off on a journey where I needed 18 months, Jason. I took off 18 months, traveled around the world just to recharge and get my feet back underneath me. I should have been at the peak of my health and energy, but I was so burnt out at 27, 28 that I needed that time. And that then led me into kind of the second phase of my career, if you will.
So you've been a collegiate athlete, an engineer, a trader, now you're a CEO and an author. What skill or mindset from those early days has surprisingly carried through all those roles?
Yeah, I would say discipline. Like I feel like discipline has been easy for me most of my life, and I would give a lot of that to athletics actually. So just the grind that you have to go through playing college football while balancing having an engineering degree and an MBA, a minor in business. While dating and partying, while also working a couple jobs because you don't have any money. It's like managing all that requires discipline, and that just kind of set the foundation for whatever I wanted to do that it would lead through to the next level. So I would say that, because look, business is a marathon, especially as you get into entrepreneurship. Like, you need that discipline, you need that structure, but really there's no boss that you have as an entrepreneur. So you need to be self-disciplined and have the proper support around you. So fortunately, I built some good habits around that, but that's definitely carried me through and will continue to do so as well.
Well, many entrepreneurs hit that ceiling around 250K or 500K and they just stay stuck. And I see that all the time in my work. I know you see it a lot. You wrote a book from 6 to 7 figures. And so what's your take on what holds them back the most at that level?
Well, you're exactly right. People get stuck at these different levels and different valleys because you have to reinvent yourself. You have to reinvent your focus, your decision making, your skill sets. And that's hard to do. And most importantly, it's hard to do from an ego standpoint or from a mindset standpoint. It's hard to let go of things that got you to this point, right? But you have to continually do that. And if you don't do that, then you'll just plateau. And yes, you can get a little bit better. You can get some small incremental wins. You can get some AI tools. You can get the right people in place, but it's still going to be incremental. If you're looking to fully go to a whole new level, you have to redesign yourself and, again, your focus and everything. So what we say is your business will never far exceed where you are at as the leader. So if your business or income has plateaued, the first thing that you got to look at is in the mirror, right? And see, hey, where is my leadership not going to the next level? Where is my focus and my decision making and my ability as a CEO not going to the next level? And as a result, holding you back your income and revenue from a next level.
Well, you and I both preach the gospel of systems, freedom, team building. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs cling to doing everything themselves, even when it's clearly costing them?
Yeah, well, our lizard brain, which is running the show most of the time, loves busyness. It loves checking off easy things. It loves feeling important. It loves saving the day. It loves all these things that are actually very counterintuitive to what we really want, which is freedom and growth and impact and being basically unleashed in different areas of our life, right? So a lot of people are too busy in their mind to make the time to work on systems, but systems set you free. They help provide consistency. They help provide the ability to delegate and set your team up for success. They help provide leverage, which is what you need to get to the next level. So most people, again, don't know it, but they're addicted to their work. They're attached to their work mentally. That first we have to break that, then the mental attachment, then we have to start to put some systems in place and better train and set up other people. Then you can have true leverage, which is being able to delegate or have automation or have, AI or have different systems to be able to run. But you've got to first and foremost make the decision. In one of my books, I break it out as like every single section or every single chapter is about the 6-figure hustler versus the 7-figure CEO. The 7-figure CEO is thinking differently. They're thinking of working on the business. They're thinking of leverage. They're thinking of getting things done from a who, not from them doing it themselves. Whereas the 6-figure hustler, which is what so many of us do, we start and bootstrap our business. And we just ultimately get consumed by our work. We get pulled in all these different directions, and we train ourselves that the success is dependent on our hustle and our doing, where we got to reframe that, break that cycle, and then start to leverage systems.
You use the term addicted, and it's occurred to me that I was a victim of this addiction, and I think others are as well. They're addicted to being needed as an entrepreneur, which keeps them stuck in the business. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. We love to feel needed. We love to feel important. Like we hate fires per se, but if we can go in and save the day, our ego in the back of our head's kind of patting ourselves on the back. It's feeling good, right? We feel some purpose in that. But ultimately what we need to do is to see, hey, can we get the same or results through other people? If you can make that mindset shift and have your focus be on that, then that's where you truly get leverage. But we so much love that feeling of being needed, of feeling important, of getting things done. And that is usually the wrong things to do if we're talking about long-term business success.
You've helped generate over $310 million in revenue for your clients. And I'd love to know, when you're coaching a founder who's resistant to delegation, what's your go-to breakthrough move?
Yeah. My go-to breakthrough move is to help them get really, really clear on their vision. Actually, before we talk about any strategic stuff, we help them get really, really clear on their vision. Because if you are really clear on your vision and mission, then, and you can feel that, you can see that, you can taste that, then you're going to want to go there. You're not going to want to focus on these small particular things. So we use that as the carrot and say, hey, it's fine. If you don't want that vision that you just told me, that's totally cool. You can keep doing things yourself. This is what it's going to lead to. And then ultimately they make the decision that, they'd rather go after their vision, which means they have to let go and change some of those things. But then, so it starts with their vision and them seeing that and feeling that. And oftentimes we get stuck in the day to day and we're just going. We're grinding. We got bills to pay. We got money. We got a never ending to-do list that we actually forget our vision. And we definitely forget what's possible. We definitely forget the feeling of that, right? So if we can go back to that and really get centered on that, use that as your guide every single day, you're going to make better, smarter, bigger decisions to ultimately get there faster. And the second thing I'll say is we just use examples. We use examples as like one of our clients, like added hundreds of millions of dollars by doing this, by delegating. Okay, let me give you a quick story. This is going to be super short. So this client was pushing back. They were doing they had a particular business that was similar to day trading, but not day trading. So it was a very hard technical thing to do. They were like, Austin, this is the main moneymaker in the business. It's best if me and my partner, which they were brothers, they were the co-owners, if they were continuing to focus on doing that thing. And I was like, that's great. That's going to make you a lot of money in the short term. You can continue to do that. You can have a great 7-figure business. You guys can be, top 1% type business. But you told me your vision is to create a 9-figure business. To create a 9-figure business, you're not going to be able to do the things yourself. So they pushed back, then they finally relented and they started to delegate and create systems. Once they did that, it's actually create systems and delegate. Once they did that, within 90 days of starting, they were able to delegate so much of what they were doing in their day-to-day down to one level. Another 90 days after that, that level was able to delegate the vast majority of what they were doing down to Filipino VAs. All right. So within 6 months, it went from them spending a lot of their time on this particular action, which was driving money in the business, to within 6 months, Filipino VAs were doing over 90% of that particular work so that they could be much more leveraged. Now they have hundreds of employees, hundreds of millions of dollars, and a way more successful business and way more freedom. So that one example of letting go and creating the proper systems and training and infrastructure so that you can delegate. And then you can go even further. The job is to delegate on down to the lowest possible level. And if you do it right with the proper systems and training, you can ultimately do that. So that's one example where it just unleashes you to the next level that you don't even know is possible or believe is possible.
So between 2X, which is your coaching and consulting company, and Atlas Assistants, you've leaned really hard into helping leaders get out of the weeds. So what do you think is the most overlooked leverage point that entrepreneurs are ignoring?
Well, I mean, you mentioned one. We've got one company that places executive assistants. If you don't have an assistant, as Cameron Harold says, you are the assistant. And in every department, let alone in every company, there's so much admin. And as a business owner, we're just overwhelmed by all the moving pieces in business, by all the small decisions. We get decision fatigue that if you can have somebody from an admin standpoint help you, that can free up so much brain space to focus on the right things, get you more in your zone of genius, and the ROI on that is like just absolutely insane. So that's one of the big ones, is make sure that you have an executive assistant to help free up a time. But the other is like, you need an operator as well. You need somebody that's going to help build systems and play the long-term game. That's one of the most important things that we can talk about, Jason, is playing the long-term game and looking at, hey, what needs to be true to achieve X, Y, and Z 12 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Again, most people are just so focused on this week, this month, and maybe this quarter that they start to lose, what are the building blocks that are needed to get there. And the future comes faster than you think. 6 months from now goes by in the blink of an eye. So we've got to be building towards that future. If you do those two things, like having admin support and continually build for the future with the proper systems and infrastructure in place, it just stacks up.
Yeah. Well, it's very eerily similar to the XOS methods that I teach, which stage 2 is assembling your support squad, which is the assistant. That's got to be somebody you hire first. Perfect. And then the third stage is putting together an A team. It's getting the operators who are the integrators are going to be there to operate and take care of daily. So I love that. So, well, now let's flip the script for just a second. What's one moment when your systems didn't work, or maybe you didn't follow your own advice? Yeah. How did you recover and what shifted?
Yeah. Well, I've got a lot of these, but the first one that comes up is pretty painful for me. I took somebody that was really, really good in one role, and I moved him over to a totally different department and role, put him in the head of marketing, and he was not qualified for that. He was very, very strong in the sales department. And man, that was a bad decision. All right. So it's okay to make a bad decision. What's not okay about that is to not follow your systems and to keep somebody in that role for way too long because you like them, because they're key to culture, because you're afraid of what happens. You're afraid of that conversation. I kept somebody in that particular role way too long, and it had a ripple effect that basically set us behind 18 months. 18 months of my entire life and working career and vision was really halted and put back. We went down from a revenue standpoint, down from a profit standpoint, and we teach growth, right? And I knew what I needed to do, and I didn't do that. And it was the most stressful time of my career. not only did I make that bad decision, again, I didn't fix it fast enough. So everything at the end of the day, as you and I talk about, comes back to having the proper systems in place, because you're going to have mess ups. You're going to have some things that you don't do particularly well, but really you can trace it back most of the time, if not all the time, to a particular system that you either don't have or didn't follow. In this case, I didn't follow it a couple of times, and as a result, cost me literally over 7 figures in profit personally, and again, a lot of stress and a lot on our vision. So that's one that if you've got the proper team move that you know you need to make, you got to make it, and you got to make it fast.
So we both coach high performing entrepreneurs, and burnout is more common than most people admit. Have you ever found yourself deep in overwhelm? I mean, I know we talked about pre-show, you came out of the busiest quarter that you've had in forever.
Yeah.
So what happened and what helped to claw your way back to clarity?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say it's like everything started when I was so burnt out, so exhausted, so overwhelmed that I started having anxiety attacks. And this was back when I was 27. I was building my business and I was having anxiety attacks. I was laying in a hotel, and every time I'd drift off to sleep, I would stop breathing. And so I'd gasp up in bed for breath, and I had to call 911. And by the time that happened the second time, where both times I thought I was dying, had to call 911, I was like, all right, something has to change. I'm not doing this right. So I needed time after that to fully reset. That's when I went on and traveled, and I learned how to build a business that I would never get to that point again. So even though I just got out of the busiest quarter ever, I mean, most of my days I'm working, or most of my weeks I'm working 3, maybe 4 days a week. And there's just a lot of personal travel there. So it's not the business stuff. It's not nearly the same as what it was back then, working 80 or 100-hour work weeks. That's it. So, yeah, the main thing is like never get to the point that you're close to that, because that's actually very unproductive. It's actually hurting your success. You can't think as much. You're not nearly as productive. You're not making the best decisions. And so many other things that, ultimately studies show if you are consistently working over 50 hours a week, you're doing yourself a detriment, unless you're Elon Musk. And most of us aren't Elon Musk, and most of us don't want that lifestyle of Elon Musk. Don't even get to that spot. But yeah, there's just so much that we talk about, but it all started with me having burnout so bad I had to call 911, which, like you said, most people don't talk about it enough, but so many entrepreneurs, once you share a story, you're like, oh yeah, I had anxiety attacks, or oh yeah, I've been burnout.
Yeah, and how old are you now?
39.
Nice. So it's been a decade since this has passed, and
Oh, yeah.
life is a lot different. You can be busy, but you can handle it now. You've learned to put the systems in place, right?
Yeah, I never want to get close to that ever, and I've definitely got my health in a much better spot. But again, the main thing is I've got my systems and team in a much better spot, that now we have 2 7-figure businesses, trying to get to, 9-figure portfolio as fast as possible. And I know I don't need to grind 80, 100-hour weeks. I know I'm not going to be burnt out as I do that, because there's a lot more leverage and a lot more awareness and a lot more better decision-making in place, because I'm not in the day-to-day, which is super cool.
Well, I want to talk about your books. So from Make Money, Live Wealthy to from 6 to 7 figures, your work has evolved from financial independence to business growth.
Yeah.
So was that evolution strategic or more of a natural progression from your own journey?
Yeah, it was more of a natural progression. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I had this clear vision of I was going to get my MBA, get some sales experience, and have my engineering degree. And that was going to be my trifecta. That was going to take me up the corporate ladder. And I started down that path. But as soon as I was, I shared the story earlier of like, I wasn't jealous of any of my mentors 10 or 20 years down the line. So I was like, what do I start as my first business? I don't know what that's going to be. I was interested in finances and day trading. So I started day trading, and I then went all in on that, and then burnt myself out, took some time off. But when I came back, I was like, all right, I need some type of contribution. I want to make an impact on people's lives. I didn't know what it was going to be. So I just started a blog and podcast on what I knew at the time, which was money, mindset, and investing, right? And sharing with young professionals what I learned. That led to a book, that led to a book marketing agency, that led to coaching entrepreneurs, that led to what we do now. So I went through basically 4 different businesses before I was like, boom, this is what I want to do. I want to coach successful entrepreneurs and businesses, build my portfolio of an ecosystem of companies all serving great entrepreneurs, and then start in private equity, investing in and acquiring and partnering with companies to build my portfolio. So it took me all these, what were at the time random stepping stones, to come full circle that I'm like, this is what I want to do for the next 10, 20, not 10 years, next 30, 40, 50 years, you know?
Well, if somebody could take away only one thing from all of your content, your books, your courses, your coaching, what would you want that to be?
Systems are the secret. Systems, everything in your business can be broken down to a system in some way, shape, or form. Systems help set you up for success, that they make things easier, more consistent, more predictable, more efficient. They help you delegate and get things off of your plate. They help set your team up for success. Like I said, they give you true leverage, and they give you the ability to optimize. They give you the ability to have clarity and control without you having to hustle and muscle things. So systems are the secret. If you really adopt that, whether you are an operations type person or not, adopt that as a mentality, adopt that as a culture. It will change the game for you. So many businesses that we come into are just chaos. They're all over the board. If we can provide a little bit more structure and systems, it just creates so much more flow, so much more ease, and so much more ability to scale to the next level and achieve why you actually started a business to begin with. So systems are the secret.
If you had to boil all of your success down to one key, one thing that unlocks success more than anything else, what would you say it is?
I would say my desire and hunger to grow. Tony Robbins talks about there's 6 human needs. There's certainty, uncertainty, growth, love. I may be butchering this, some contribution and one other. And for me, growth is always one of those top ones. If I'm not growing, I'm dying. And I'm talking about personally growing and developing, whether my numbers are growing or not. If I'm just like learning and growing and working hard things, I love that. I love whatever game I'm playing, whether it's competition, fitness, personal relationships, and of course, business. Like just that hunger, which everybody listening to this probably has as well. That's going to lead you to never being satisfied, but you got to balance that with being satisfied in the whole journey. You got to love yourself and love the journey and be chasing after more. And if you get there, that's what I think is the true power position, where you have both of those things, satisfaction and hunger for more. That leads to some pretty cool things that we can give from an abundant place.
How do you personally define the word success?
I would say doing what you want to do, being able to do what you do, that is success. If you're able to do that, whether it's in business or out of business, who's going to tell you that you're not successful, right?
By that definition, which I agree with, do you consider yourself to be successful?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, there's more things that I can delegate, more things that I can get off my plate, and the businesses and my focus are always evolving. But I love the people that I'm working with, and I choose them because, you know, if they weren't great, or if I didn't like them, or if it wasn't a great working relationship, I'm the owner. I can get rid of them, right? But I love the people I work with. I love the people that we serve. I love the projects that we're working on. I love the mission that we're building, and my life outside of that is even better. I got the most amazing people in my life and most amazing things. So I'm super blessed, man. And I'm really, really proud, which is a strong word. I'm really proud of what I've done to be able to get to this point, to have that control and have that ability to choose.
We're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor of this episode. This episode of The Root of All Success is brought to you by Constant Closer. So if you're a course creator with an email list, you're probably leaving money on the table. Why? Because your subscribers have learned to ignore traditional email marketing. You do it, I do it, we all do it. So what you really need is a sales rep, someone who can send personalized one-on-one emails, but at scale. That's exactly what Constant Closer does. Constant Closer is an AI-driven sales agent that turns your email audience into paying customers and book meetings without having to hire a sales team. It sends real one-on-one emails with the goal of filling your webinars, increasing your sales, and driving conversions automatically. Brands like Live Your Message, Jonathan Montoya, Ziggy Media, and Health Business Growth Collective, and yours truly, the real Jason Duncan, we're already using this to get more out of our email list. If you're ready to unlock the real revenue from your existing subscribers, I want you to check out Constant Closer at therealjasonduncan.com/constant closer. That's therealjasonduncan.com/constant closer. Now let's get back to the show. So Austin, here's our rapid fire wrap up. I got 4 questions. We're going to go through these pretty quickly. First question, morning routine, structured or flexible?
Structured. Yep. Pretty short and straight to it. 10 minutes in and I'm good.
All right. Book you've gifted the most besides your own.
The One Thing by Gary Keller. Super simple and focused.
Biggest myth in entrepreneurship that you'd love to bust?
If I just had more leads, everything would be fixed in my business. How many times do you hear that? Yeah.
Oh my! I say that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Business is a complex equation, man. It's more than one piece, and I want to change entrepreneurs' mind on that.
Yeah. And last one. What's one system every business should build before they scale?
Time control systems. If you are in control of your time, you're going to think more clearly, be able to move more on the right things. It's very simple. Yeah, very few entrepreneurs actually have it. They're starting their day with chaos and reactivity. Time control systems.
All right. Well, this is Austin Netzley, Austin of 2X, and also Atlas Assistants. Austin, how would people get in touch with you if they are resonating with what you're talking about?
Yeah, definitely check us out. We got a bunch of resources, got a couple books. You can go to 2x.co. That's number 2 letter x.co. One of my books is called From 6 to 7 Figures. People love that. Even if they're at 8 figures, we got a lot of people giving some good reviews on that. And also a second book called The 2-Week Vacation Test. That's how to detach yourself from the day-to-day of your business and build your business to be able to run and thrive without you. So check out our books. They're super low cost on Amazon and very tangible. I think you'll enjoy those.
Well, Austin, thank you. It's an honor to have you on the show. I really appreciate you being here today. I love what you're doing. Obviously, you and I are doing some similar things in the entrepreneur world. There are billions of, maybe not billions, but there are certainly millions of entrepreneurs out there that need services like yours as a coach, as masterminds. Entrepreneurs are working too hard in their own businesses. They're treating them like jobs and not like assets. And that's why I'm very grateful that there's people like you that are helping entrepreneurs get out of that trap. So thank you for what you do. Congratulations on all your success. And we should stay in touch.
Absolutely. I love that. Treating their business like a job, not an asset. Man, that's huge. Let's keep spreading the message and helping entrepreneurs around the globe.
Well, thanks, Austin. All right. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for another edition of JD's Public Service Rants. This is the part of the show where I call out the little things that really shouldn't have to be said, but clearly they do. So if you're guilty of this one, well, consider yourself officially put on notice. I want to talk to you people, you slow self-checkout users. You know who I'm talking to. Self-checkout was invented to make things faster, not to give you a one-on-one intimate scanning experience with each and every item. If you got a full cart and you're scanning at the speed of a sloth in a coma, you're doing it wrong. Either pick up the pace or go see an actual cashier. They exist for a reason, and the rest of us are just trying to get home. Well, that's it for today's JD's Public Service Rant. If you've got another idea for one of these, send them my way. I love the input that I'm getting from you guys about these. And remember, don't be that guy. Well, thank you for tuning in this week for another edition of The Root of All Success, where I talk with athletes, with entertainers, with artists, with entrepreneurs, with coaches who have achieved a level of success that all of us could learn from. That's what this show is about. So if you want to learn about that, tune in again next week when I talk with yet another very successful person about his or her journey to success. Until then, as always, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.